building perfect mock drafts here in the Sportsocracy, and if you were building the perfect comedian, it would be Chris Farley.
Well, Lottie frickin' duh!
So, to build the perfect draft here for the Arizona Cardinals, our resident draft nerd, Mr. Jeremy Greene, has taken every pick, no reaches, just best player that you could possibly get in an 8-pick window of your pick. So for the Arizona Cardinals, what does the perfect haul look like for them?
Well, what I look at with Arizona is you don't have, I like Byron Murphy. I don't really like anything else. Marco Wilson, yikes. Last year did not go particularly well. So I want the number one no doubt corner. And with the way that this mock broke down, there's one sitting there that I really like the fit with.
At number 23 overall, that guy, Trent McDuffie, cornerback out of Washington.
Now, there is a grand possibility that he's not going to make it past the Philadelphia Eagles. If that's the case, you fall into the shoe. Because I've got Trent McDuffie at 18 overall. From there, the drop goes to 36 with Andrew Booth, 38 with Kyler Gordon, 49 with Roger McCreary. So if I'm the Cardinals, I'm either trading up to get McDuffie if I'm afraid I can't get him, or Stingley, either way, or I'm willing to trade back, and this is the beginning of the run where teams could start looking to get that fifth-year option on a quarterback, get into the beginning of the second round, take a guy like Andrew Booth, who I like the tape on, but nobody's seen him. He's been in mothballs because he hurt his quad at the end of the season in the early process, and so his stock has dropped. McDuffie's the one that fits, because I do think he would come in and be the number one corner immediately. Great athlete, little short. I wish he was a little bit taller. Play inside, outside, very versatile. And to me, the biggest knocks on him I can all tie to he was not coached well at Washington, because the Jimmy Lake Washington Huskies were a fucking disaster.
How about a running back for the Arizona Cardinals? Yes, they just re-signed James Conner, but there's no more Chase Edmonds around.
You re-signed James Conner?
Well, Lottie frickin' duh!
Congratulations to you.
That and $1. That and $1 US will get you a Coke.
Does Eno Benjamin come for free with that deal?
Sure. I just look at it and go, look, we've seen James Conner. Mm-hmm. All right, people figured James Conner out. Health has always been an issue. And I'm looking at that Chase Edmonds role going, well, what if you could get that running back on steroids? And here, I think you do.
At number 55 overall, Breece Hall, running back out of Iowa State.
He's clearly the best running back in this class to me. The problem is this running back class is not very good. Breece Hall's clearly the best one, and he's 45 overall on my big board. I like him and Kenneth Walker. There is Breece Hall, Kenneth Walker, and James Cook, who everybody else seems to be figuring out. There is just a chasm between those three and everybody else. The best do-it-all running back to me in this draft, very fast, very patient. If you told me one of the running backs in this class was ultimately going to be a Pro Bowler, I would bet my house it's Breece Hall.
In the third round, 87th overall, how about edge rusher out of Cincinnati, Myjai Sanders?
This is a guy that I know that they've brought in, and I'm not as high on Myjai Sanders as a lot of other people are. All right, so since we're talking about boards here, there are two huge jumps. There are the top 8, which is the Hutch, Thibodeau, Trayvon, Jermaine Johnson, Ajabo, Drake Jackson, George Karlaftis, Boye Mafe. There is a huge drop from there, and that's where you get the Cam Thomas, Logan Hall, D'Angelo Malones. Then there's another huge drop, and that's where you get to Myjai Sanders. Now, the tape on him is very good. He's so thin. I mean, unbelievably thin to be as tall as he is. And I'm afraid in the NFL he's going to get washed out with bathwater. But there is one caveat to that. If you can be the weak side defender on the opposite side of J.J. Watt, okay, we can talk about this. Yeah. Other guys I looked at here were Logan Hall. I really like the fit with Logan Hall. It's just the picks didn't line up, and I couldn't find a way to get him in there without making a trade, which I couldn't manifest it into being. I also really like Cameron Thomas from San Diego State. He's an inside-outside kind of – he can do it all. Myjai Sanders to me is only a rush end. And he's going to have to learn to hold up against the run. But now in terms of pass rush, he can do that immediately.
Without making a trade, the Arizona Cardinals will twiddle their thumbs during the 4th and the 5th rounds of this draft, but then it'll be hot and heavy in the 6th and 7th rounds. 202 overall in the 6th, Josh Johnson, wide receiver from Tulsa.
If you're a draft nerd, you'll remember Demetric Felton last year that went to the Cleveland Browns out of UCLA. They're the same player. Played running back, played receiver, just generate the touches. And I look at him with Cliff Kingsbury and go, this is your ideal scenario. And now he's little. I mean, little, itty-bitty, teeny-tiny yellow polka dot bikini or however the fucking song goes.
That's pretty good.
He's a little teeny feller. But get the ball in his hand 4 to 6 times a game. I think he can, and I think he can contribute that way right away. He's going to be a headache because he can line up in the backfield as a running back, kind of run that Deebo Samuel role of you never know exactly where he's going to line up. That's becoming more popular in the league, and one of the visionaries of it was Cliff Kingsbury, so perfect fit for Josh Johnson here.
At 216th, the second pick in the 6th round, Malcolm Rodriguez, linebacker from Oklahoma State.
This is more of the downhill run-stuffing linebacker. If he was 3 inches taller, he would be back into day 2, beginning of day 3, but he's 5'11". Ran pretty well at the combine. He's just the short, squatty, first 2-down linebacker that every team needs. And when you look at the linebackers that the Cardinals have, there are these Zaven Collins, Isaiah Simmons, hyper-athletic. You need the little squatty guy that can come in and actually do something against the run.
Mm-hmm.
Think Nick Vigil on steroids.
Okay.
Which is funny because Nick Vigil's bigger than him, but I like Malcolm Rodriguez better.
245th overall, the first of 3 picks in the 7th round for the Cardinals. Jaquan McMillan, cornerback out of the Fighting Mike Houstons of East Carolina.
I know this program quite nicely, and I love this kid. I've watched a lot of him, and this is going to be very scheme-specific as to where he plays because he played corner at East Carolina, but I think he almost looks more like a safety to me in the NFL. But he's so raw and so malleable. He's got really good ball instincts. And there's a lot to like. It's just you're going to have to know he's a year away from being a year away. So he's a rotational piece to begin with and develop him the way you want him to play. He's going to have to be given a job. You give him, this is what you're going to be. You're going to be on the outside. You're going to be in the slot. You're going to play safety. You're going to be a move safety, whatever it is. That's what you do. Don't move him around. Let him do one thing and become very good at it. Kid's a great kid, very hard worker. One of my favorite late-round flyer prospects in this draft.
And if you're new to the program, by the way, Mike Houston, the coach at East Carolina, coached that one in high school. So, that's why he's very close with the program over there. Here's one out of Georgia Tech at 257 overall. Another hybrid safety linebacker guy, Tariq Carpenter.
He's become very hot in the last 2 weeks. Had a good pro day, just super raw. I mean, this is the Arizona Cardinals special. This is Isaiah Simmons if all of his talent had been sucked out because they look similar. They play similar. There's just a copious amount of raw with Tariq Carpenter. And look, Georgia Tech guys, this draft, the last draft, and the next one, these guys were brought in to do something that they were not asked to do under the current coach. And those guys become a lot more of a projection. That's why there's so many of them that hang around in the 7th round of what would you have been if I'd seen you doing what it was you were recruited to do. Or they were transfers and it was real quick into the – there's been a lot of instability around Georgia Tech. More athlete than he is anything, but he is a ridiculously good athlete.
The second of a back-to-back in the 7th round, both compensatory picks here for the Cardinals. 258 overall. E.J. Perry, quarterback, out of Brown.
According to RAS, he's the second most athletic quarterback in this draft, ahead of Matt Corral, behind Malik Willis. And he's very, very smart. Now,
obviously,
the problem is his arm is not everything you would dream it would be. I think he would serve a great – his role in the NFL is to be really good in the room. Emergency backup. Projects to be a backup long-term in the NFL. That's why you're getting in the 7th round. There's no starter here. But he's so damn smart. And think of Ryan Fitzpatrick. Ryan Fitzpatrick had every physical limitation you could ever ask for. He never had a great arm, but he was so fucking smart. and that's why he hung around this league for so long. I look at E.J. Perry the same way. The difference between the two, E.J. Perry's hyper athletic, which I think makes him a perfect third quarterback with Kyler or Lamar Jackson or Russell Wilson. Anybody that likes using their feet, because he can do that. So if he had to come in, the offense doesn't completely change. It's one of the things I've always laughed about. You have Kyler Murray as your starter and Colt McCoy as your backup.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't make a lot of sense to me because those two guys do two very different things. I love E.J. Perry. Stories about him a mile long from the combine and blah, blah, blah. Very good player, athletic limitations, but somebody you want in your building.
So the perfect A-plus mock draft, the Chris Farley mock draft for the Arizona Cardinals, starts out with Trent McDuffie. I think that'd be a good addition for this team to add to that secondary.
Very good player, and I think he fits Arizona like a glove.
Breece Hall, not a bad one either. Speaking of halls, it's a fine hall that you put here together, Mr. Flostradamus. If you like the picks, if you hate the picks, let us know in the comments.
It's a perfect way. Oh.
Now you kids are probably asking yourselves, hey, Matt, how can we get back on the right track?
Well, this is a way to pad that team in the terrible NFC. Give yourself the toys, and that's how I built the hall for the Arizona Cardinals. If you have questions about players, if you have questions about the Cardinals, anything you could possibly ask, put those in the comments. We'll be doing mailbag shows leading up to the 2022 NFL Draft, April 28th from Las Vegas, Nevada.
And we'll cover every pick live here in the Sportsocracy, always coming to you from the Ingles studio. Ingles Supermarkets, low prices, love the savings. I'm Tank Spencer. He's Jeremy Greene, and we'll see you next time.